Hello, this is Python Statistical. In a previous video, we looked at using the method oswalk to read in multiple Microsoft Excel spreadsheets from a directory and a subdirectory. In doing so, I assumed that the data was contained in only one worksheet. But there are tables that have, in one example, 600 columns that are spread over more than one worksheet. The reason that is done is to ensure compatibility with older versions of Microsoft Excel that had a limit of 256 columns, whereas the current version of Microsoft Excel can accommodate over 16,000 columns in one worksheet. So the Australian Bureau of Statistics has done this to ensure compatibility with older versions of Microsoft Excel so that people can access their data. In this video, we will look at how to read in multiple worksheets into a Pandas data frame. So here's the spreadsheet I was talking about, Table 23, Labour Force Australia, and it has 600 columns. It starts at row 12 and goes to 611. And to ensure that it's compatible with older versions of Microsoft Excel, they've split the data into three worksheets: Data 1, Data 2, Data 3. Now, this is not the only table that has data in multiple worksheets. There's also Table 22, which is age range data for labour force. So, in the next part, I'll show you how to read in data that's across multiple worksheets into a Pandas data frame. So the first thing we need to do is to import Pandas as PD, and we also need to use the Python regular expression operator. So that's import RE. So the next step is to read in the ExcelFile, and we're going to use the Pandas ExcelFile method. This will allow us to read in the worksheet information to tell us what worksheets are there and where the data is stored in those worksheets. So the next step is to actually read the worksheet details from that spreadsheet underscore file. So we do that by using the method sheet underscore names. So we store that in worksheets, and then we'll print out what worksheets we have in that as Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. And as we can see, we have index, which contain the description of all the column variables that are on that spreadsheet. And then we have three worksheets containing the actual data. And then we have the inquiries worksheet at the end. So in the next step, we're going to search through the worksheets list, this list here, and we're going to pull out any worksheet that has the word data in it. And so this is where the regular expressions come in. So I create a new list called datasheet list, and I use a Python list comprehension to loop through the first list that contains all the worksheets. And then I use the regular expression to search for the word data, and I use the option ignore case so I don't have to worry about what case that word is in, and we'll still pull out just the data worksheets. So let's run that, but first let's print out the results so we can see that it actually does pull out what we want. So let's run it. And as you can see, we now have a new list, datasheet list, that only contains the data worksheets. So the next step will be to read each of these worksheets into a Pandas data frame, and then we're going to put them together. So we need to create a dictionary where we store each of the data worksheets. So the elements of that dictionary will be actual Pandas data frames corresponding to each data worksheet. And then we need to define a Pandas data frame where we're going to put together all the worksheets into one place. So we then loop through each data worksheet, and then we use the Pandas read_Excel method to read that in. And here we specify the actual sheet name we're going to read in. So this comes from the for loop. So each one will be read into its own Pandas data frame, and we're using sheet_data name. So each of these data names will be the key for each of these Pandas data frames. Oh, we can see that this exceeds 80 characters, this line, so we'll fix that up. We'll just need a backslash, and then we can move it to the next line. So we'll just fix this up. Okay, let's tidy it up. So the next step is to bring it all together. So first we need to work out how many data worksheets there are. In this particular case there are 3, but if there is only 1, then we don't need to bring each of the partial data frames together. If there are more than one sheet containing data, which is what this if statement's trying to find out, then we will loop through each of the Pandas data frames for each of the data sheets, and then we'll do a concat method which joins the Pandas data frames horizontally, which is why along the x-axis, which is why we're using axis equals 1. So what we're doing here is we start off with our empty data frame or data sheets df, and then we join on each of the Pandas data frames for each of the data sheets along the x-axis. So all the new columns will be added on horizontally, and you'll have one big data frame. If there's only one data sheet, then we just set the all data sheets data frame just equal to each data worksheet, which will only contain the one. So let's run this code and see if it works. So that seems to have run without any error. So we'll have a look at the data frame that created. So it's all data sheets df. And we can see that it's got 603 columns. So that's all of the data from all the worksheets of that Excel spreadsheet. So if we scroll across, we'll see that it will get up to 250 columns and then start again. So here we are. So it ends at 250 and then starts again with the next data worksheet, and it also repeats the month and the year, as each of the data worksheets has the month and year at the beginning. So that brings us to the end of this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. And if you really like it, please subscribe to my channel, Python Statistical. I will also be including this code on my Patreon site for my patrons. Thank you for watching.